In today's video, we're going to look at players who graduated out of the Islanders prospect pool. Who are they, and have they graduated with, let's say, honors, if you will? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't miss a video. Also go to Twitter, follow at TLOMitch. That's me. Don't miss any breaking information about Islanders prospects I've yet to cover on the channel. I've been quiet for a few days, and it's not because I didn't have anything to do. It's just I've had too much to do. From a long weekend that included a wicked, crazy windstorm. My birthday happened on Sunday.
Today is my
38th.
birthday.
And my kids have been sick for the last couple of days, so all of that, juggling all those things, meant that I was kind of quiet on the channel. But I'm back here, and let's talk about players who are graduating out of the Islanders prospect pool. So what do I mean by graduating out? Like, who graduates out? And it really comes down to who is and isn't a prospect anymore, right? Like, that's the whole point of the channel, is looking at who is a prospect and how they're doing. And so if they no longer become a prospect, then I don't care anymore, type of thing. I care as a fan, but I don't care as a following it from the channel's perspective. But either way, who are these players, or more specifically, why or what makes them graduate? And it really comes down to two factors: age and experience. And by experience, I mean NHL experience. And so when a player gets to 26 years old, they're no longer a prospect because they've entered their peak as a player. And so what we're getting out of that player should be what we see going forward. It shouldn't be any surprise going like, oh my God, this guy is turning into an NHL All-Star when he was at best an AHL player. That typically doesn't happen. And then you've got experience at the NHL level. And so that comes down to, typically, I've seen people say around 60, 64 games. And I'm going to sit at 60 games because that gets us in a nice close 3/4 of an NHL season. If they've played 3/4 of an NHL season, we typically know what they are at the NHL level. Now, obviously, there's room to grow from that, but we at least know what their baseline is at the NHL level. And that's really what matters, what they are at the NHL level. The first player we're taking a look at here is Sebastian Aho, who meets both criteria, age and NHL experience. He's got 61 games played at the NHL level over his career and is 26. He turned 26 in February. So when we look at the two things that we're trying to look at here is, where is he now at the end of this season and where was he trending going forward? So first things first, where is he at now this year? Well, when you look at the player card, it's a lot of no offense, Sebastian Aho, I wish I was at the NHL level, but you're very much a player at the NHL level. Replacement level defenseman. A little bit more on the offensive side, but not a little bit more, a lot more on the offensive side. But still, when you look at the offense, defense, shooting, and his overall, you're going, oof, oof. And then when you see that he's 4th overall in the NHL, in the Islanders prospect pool, oof. Tells you everything you need to know about the Islanders prospect pool. When you look at his growth over the last couple of years, you're seeing a lot of ups and downs, right? Jumps up to 21 in 18-19, falls 2 points down, jumps up 35 points, but he puts up 2 points in 3 games. So like, and then he loses 27 of those points this year. So Sebastian Aho is what he is. It says 27-point NHLE, but that's because you pace out his production at the NHL level over a full season, and you've got yourself a 27-point player. Now, does that mean like he can or should be allowed to play a full season to get 27 points? He's got his issues. He's not the best defensively. Sure, he can skate well, but the development, it's not going to get a whole lot better. He's not going to remove some of those mistakes from his game at 26 years old. So again, this is why he's graduating out, because the age is there, and the age tells you that he's a replacement level player. Player number 2 is Kiefer Bellows, who's graduating out because of experience, not because of age. He only turns 24 on June 10th, but he's got 67 career NHL games under his belt. So he's graduating because we kind of know at this point what he is at the NHL level. And while he could still probably, hit a different gear or another gear and raise this game just a little bit, but we're kind of sure where the margin is, if you will, for Kiefer Bellows. When we look at his player card, you're going to say offense is real low, defense looks pretty good, and his shooting is where you would expect it to be. Overall of 47, that offensive rank drags it down a lot. But that makes a lot of sense considering his deployment, which was not a lot of ice time, and it's a defense-heavy Islanders team where he was asked to play a more defensive role for at least a good portion of it. So that offense is going to come down. But the fact that he was number 1 in the prospect pool and he was still an NHLE of 33 last year is good signs for what is still a 24-year-old, right? Not even. He's 23. He will turn 24 in a couple of weeks here. So, like, that's a good sign for Kiefer Bellows. It doesn't mean he's going to be a star at the NHL level, although I guess he still could. But the margin for him shows that he's probably going to be a middle 6 player. Now, when you look at the last couple of years for Kiefer Bellows and how he's trended up until this point, you see some highs and lows, but the highs are higher than the lows themselves, right? -8 in 18-19, not good, but he adds 12 the next year, so net gain of 4, loses 3, and then gains another 15 this year, almost 16 if you round it up. And that's really, I'm not going to say ideal, because ideally you see him grow every year, a la Robin Salo, but what you're seeing here is a player who is developing, and that's what we want to see. He's developing into that middle 6 forward, and that's a good thing for the Islanders. Player number 3 is Grant Hutton, who is graduating based off age and obviously not out of experience. He's only got 16 NHL games under his belt, but he is 26, going to be turning 27 in July. So I maybe should have done that last year, but this is still kind of new, so he's graduating out this year. Now, when you look at his player card, offense 73, 26 defense, 69 shooting, nice. 62 overall and 13th pool rank with a 12 NHLE. What we saw from Grant Hutton this year is that he could probably be a fringe NHLer, maybe a 6th or 7th defenseman at the NHL level. For a guy who went undrafted, that's fine. You'll take that, obviously. When you look at his growth, though, things don't trend very well. Negative. Sure, he's got the kind of highs and lows a la Kiefer Bellows, but the lows are lower than the highs, right? So, like, he loses 0.5 year 1, gains 0.7. Cool. Loses 5.5 and then only gains just about 5 this year. And this is considering AHL and NHL experience. It's putting it all together. And so, like, he's not really growing, if you will. He's kind of plateaued, which makes sense with a 27-year-old, right? Like, at 27 years old, you probably figure out that this guy is what he is, and this is very much it. It may be, at best, a 6th NHL defenseman. Now, when we look at his player card, you're going to say great offense, not great defense, and good shooting, and the overall is meh. And that's pretty much it. That's Mitch Van de Sampel's game. He's a great offensive defenseman, not great defensively, and has a pretty good shot, or at least is able to get the puck towards the net, which is obviously important in the game of hockey. His overall pool rank is 15, and NHLE of 10 tells you everything you need to know about him relative to the rest of the players in the Islanders prospect pool. First off, the Islanders prospect pool isn't really strong, and he doesn't really stand out amongst it. So that's probably why the Islanders are going to say, we're good, Mitch, please go not please go somewhere else. They're going to be more respectful than that. They're going to say, it's okay if you go somewhere else type of thing. Now, when you look at his growth rate over the last couple of years, you're going to see in year 2 a -14. You're going to go, oh my God, what a terrible season. Well, he didn't play. So this is really just taking what he had last year, the year before that, and going to 0. That's just how I do growth rate. So, like, just disregard that altogether. He lost 1 point or almost 2 points in 18-19, gained 8 the year after coming back from injury, and then just gained 2.5. So while there's a bit of growth there, there's not a whole lot of it. It's kind of like when you think of Grant Hutton, plateaued. His growth plateaued, which again makes sense considering his age, right? He's 25, going to be 26 in February. Congratulations to the graduates. Obviously, the best of the 2022 graduate class is Kiefer Bellows. The ceiling is so much higher for him than anyone else in the graduating class. But still, thank you for your time. Thank you for your service as a prospect. And we wish you the best in your hockey careers. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't. And if you have or plan on doing so, thank you, thank you, thank you.